Hey there, fellow YouTube pipe smokers. How are you doing? Hope everyone's been having a good time, doing well, faring well. I wanted to share with you guys an issue I'm having with some of my Peterson pipes and some of the results I've got. If you saw my previous video, you may know that I recently purchased two Peterson Deluxe pipes. I found a really good deal on those. And those two pipes are really beautiful pipes, and they have a nice light contrast stain on them. They're smooth pipes with a nice contrast stain on them. So they're really pretty. But I noticed shortly after I got them that the interior of the bowl and the shank also had this stain on it. So it was almost like when Peterson got to the staining stage of these pipes, instead of taking a pipe and brushing the stain on the exterior of the pipe and the shank, they just took the whole thing, the whole bowl and shank, and just kind of like dunked it into a jar full of stain. And just dropped it in there and pulled it out. So you get stain all, a good, nice, even coverage on the outside, but stain all on the inside too. And I wasn't really happy about that because, when you're breaking in a brand new pipe, sometimes that can be hard enough, and I don't want to have to add having to deal with the possible foul taste of having stain inside the bowl that you're trying to smoke that stuff off and vaporize it or cake it over, whatever. There's just no way the stain is going to add any kind of nothing but foulness or bitterness to the smoke as you're breaking in the pipe. I just don't want to deal with that. So I was like, all right, so I got to get rid of that. So, there's several ways you can go in and try to sand it off, or, I didn't want to do that because I was afraid I might get a little too heavy-handed. So I decided to do not the salt and alcohol treatment, but the cotton ball and alcohol treatment, where instead of putting salt inside the bowl and soaking it in, some alcohol, use cotton balls. And the reason I did cotton balls is because I've talked to a couple of people who do a lot of pipe restoration, and they've moved away from the salt and alcohol treatment because they feel like that the alcohol hits that salt and soaks it, and it dissolves it a little bit and puts it into the alcohol solution, and then that solution kind of impregnates the interior walls of the briar. That's the purpose of the salt and alcohol, to try to get that alcohol acts as a mild solvent to try to pull out any ghosts or foulness, or in this case pull out that stain on the interior of the bowl. Well, their concern is sometimes that salt that's maybe get in solution in the alcohol as the alcohol evaporates, the salt will remain impregnated in the pores and the grain or something of the briar wood and stay in the pipe, so it may act kind of slightly corrosive like, or produce a kind of salty taste when you're trying to start smoking that pipe again, or just there's concern that's not really the best thing for the briarwood, is to possibly have salt dissolved and impregnated into the pores of the briarwood. So they've gone to using cotton balls. I'm sure there's some pros and cons of cotton versus salt when you're doing this type of treatment, but I've never had to do this before. I've never had pipes that were that foul or ghosted that where I needed to do a deep cleaning. So I'm just trying to be cautious. I decided I would go with the cotton ball and alcohol treatment for this to try to remove the stain, because I just wanted to be safe. And for those two deluxe pipes, I did it once. Put the cotton balls in and soaked them with alcohol, completely saturated them, let them sit for 24 hours, and it did a pretty good job of removing that nice light stain from the interior of the bowl. Now, but I'm still having a problem, and here's why. This weekend, a local brick and mortar shop has, right around St. Patrick's Day every year, they have a representative from Peterson's U.S. distributor come by their shop with a whole bunch of Peterson pipes. He sets them all out, so that way you can actually get your hands on a Peterson pipe and look at one. So it's always nice to be able to look at a pipe, take the stem off and see make sure it's drilled well and things like that. It's a lot easier to see how the quality of the pipe you may buy if you can look at it and hold it in your hands than just viewing a picture on the internet. So I went by there, and they had a bunch of Peterson pipes, and they were also all 20% off for this special. And I found a Peterson pipe that I really liked. So I was like, and it was a good price too. I think it ended up being about $70 US. So I got this pipe, and it's a pipe from their Killarney line, and here it is. I'll show it to you. A nice Canadian shape, and you can see it's got that red, kind of a ruby red, burgundy red stain on it. Peterson, most Peterson pipes are bents. The bowls are in various, shapes and sizes, but the stems are almost always bent. They have a straight Dublin, and they have a straight billiard, and they have a straight bulldog. But it seems like 75, 85% of their pipe shapes are bents, and the other 15, 20% or 25% are straights. And but I've never seen a Canadian shape from Peterson. Other pipe makers make Canadians, but I've never seen a Canadian. I didn't even know they made Canadians. So I was like, wow. And I've been kind of thinking about getting a Canadian pipe. I've seen some other folks on YouTube and whatnot who've had Canadians, and I thought, well, that pipe's not bad. When I first started smoking a pipe, I didn't care for that shape, but it's kind of grown on me. So I saw this. It's a good price. I kind of like the finish on it, so I got it. But as you can see, that ruby burgundy red stain was also inside the bowl and the shank. And because it's kind of a dark red, deep dark red stain, it really showed up in that bowl. And again, I was like, I don't want to have to deal with smoking this stuff off and removing this while I'm breaking in the pipe. So I again do the cotton ball and alcohol treatment. So I put the cotton ball in there and soaked it with some grain alcohol for 24 hours to try to pull some out. And it pulled a lot out, but it didn't pull it all out. So I was like, okay, let me try to get a little more aggressive. And this time I'll go in with some cotton swabs and soak those in grain alcohol and run them up and down inside the bowl, kind of scrubbing the walls of the bowl to try to, combine the chemical removal with a physical removal. Not as aggressive as sandpaper, although that would certainly get it a lot off of there. But like I said, I'm just trying to go about this slowly until I build up some experience doing this type of deep type of cleaning and restoration work. So I got a lot of the stain off. You can see there a lot of the stain off, but near the top of the bowl, the inside of the bowl, there's still a lot of stain there. I'm having to work in the heck out of that thing to try to get the stain near the top of the bowl out, but not having a luck. And let me show you how much stain came off the swabs and the cotton ball. Look at that. Those things are just soaked. It's covered in stain. You can see the pipe cleaner that I had up the stem because there was stain inside the shank, and that cotton ball is just, dark red. And again, as I just showed you, there's still some stain inside that sucker. I got most of it off, but at the top of the bowl, there's still some stain. So, I'm not happy with Peterson in this practice they do. When I got my first Peterson a year ago, it was at the same brick and mortar, their same little Peterson St. Patrick's Day event that they had last year. I bought my very first Peterson, and I figured for my first Peterson, I'll go with a system standard pipe. Try out their system pipe, and that is a wonderful pipe. That pipe didn't have stain. It was a rusticated finish, but the exterior was stained. But there wasn't a stain inside the bowl. It had that black, that neutral carbon type of coating that a lot of pipe makers do that helps try to speed up break-in, and it's neutral. It tastes, you don't taste anything, and it's that black coating they put in there. It wasn't bare wood. So that system pipe had that, but these last two, the two deluxe pipes in this Killarney, had the stain. It didn't have that black coating. It had the stain inside the bowl. It's just like Peterson gets in a hurry or lazy right at the end when they're finishing the pipes and just dunks the whole thing in a jar of stain. So you get stain inside and out. Now, I'm not happy with this, and I don't know why Peterson does this. If there's a reason for it, I'd love to know it. I can't imagine it would, for me, the smoker, I can't imagine it'd be very good. So, I got a little bit more work to do to try to get that last bit of stain out, and it's maybe so impregnated I may just have to suck it up and just smoke the darn thing. And hopefully hopefully if there's any kind of foulness or bitterness from the stain, it goes away after just a few smokes. But anyway, I'm happy with the pipe. It's a beautiful pipe. I like the shape, but I'm not happy that Peterson does this stain inside their pipes. I don't know why they do that. Anyway, I hope everyone's been having a good time, and sweet smokes, guys. Take care.